SDP, the Steve Dangle Podcast, with your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
Great move there, Steve. I like that.
Good intro,
I like
man.
that.
I just want to apologize.
Yeah. For anybody that isn't watching, we are in our second studio, but it is called Studio 3, is it not?
Yes,
Studio 3.
Studio 3.
We're in
Big
Studio
one,
3.
Studio 1.
We're in the exposed brick studio. Yeah.
We saw Caller Daddy had Kamala Harris, and we got jealous.
Yeah,
So
we're like, hey, we have leather chairs and fake plants too.
we want to do the podcast.
Yeah.
I
I want 5 million weekly downloads, which is what they're
Is that
getting.
what they have?
They have 5 million. 5 million.
Wow.
One of the biggest podcasts in the world, man.
You ever think about how we suck?
Well,
Yeah.
all the time. I'm reminded of it, actually, all the time. So, listen, we're going to hang out in here and have a cozy time. And I just want to remind you that we are a couple days out from Greta, from the Steve Dangle official Rants and Raves book launch party.
Yeah.
Are we feeling good about it?
I'm very nervous.
Yeah.
I'm nervous about
Oh,
everything.
yeah?
I'm not usually nervous.
Well, because you're going to actually hold the book and people are going to be able to read the book in front of you and go, I can now determine whether this sucks or not.
I know.
Which part are you nervous about? People reading it?
All of it.
Oh,
Just
okay.
all of it.
Yeah.
No, you know what? The beginning of the season is always a nervous time. Because I don't know why. This is a very irrational thought, but every first LFR of the season, I'm like, what if I've forgotten how to do it? And so this year I decided to do it in front of hundreds of people.
That's good.
And
Yeah, so you'll be there for a live LFR taping. How about that?
there's a lot going on.
We're also doing the SDP, obviously, at Greta, and it's a huge arcade bar. It's a blast. You can find tickets in the description, and tickets will be available at the door as well. But a ton of tickets have sold, which is spectacular. We're so excited to see you there. And again, you'll be able to get your copy of Steve Dangle's Rants and Raves book.
Hockey
2.
rants and raves. Gosh darn it.
Yeah, well, football rants and raves, I'm sure, is next.
Well,
if
I am 4-1 in our fantasy football.
Are you 4-1?
I'm
Good
4-1.
for you. Oh, my goodness.
I beat Justin by half a point.
Oh,
Hey.
my gosh. That's
I am 0-4, and it comes down tonight to my first overall pick, Travis Kelce, who's been dog shit this year. If he gets me 6 points, I win.
Oh,
I need 6 points,
I
and he's
think
done
you're
that.
good.
Yeah, you guys think I'm good.
Yeah.
He's done that one time this year.
Oh,
Yeah.
Your tight
But
end should be able to get you.
They're missing a couple key guys, so he has to step up and make some more catches.
Yes.
So I think he's going to be good.
Fingers crossed on that
Yeah.
one. Then I will beat
Is
Tim
Taylor
Harady.
going to be in the building?
Who?
Taylor Swift.
I don't know.
Oh, you
I have
don't
not
know?
been paying attention to that.
Oh,
I should.
okay.
I was paying.
It's
I was
Monday
actually,
Night Football.
I woke up. I know. I woke up this morning just depressed because of the way the Steelers game ended. That they waited.
You didn't deserve that game.
No.
Like I feel like
No, that's what I mean though. Like sometimes they
Like he
Tip-
didn't deserve it.
No,
to
no,
happen
they-
to him?
no, the Steelers didn't.
Oh.
deserve-
Steelers were
they got
bad.
outplayed a
They were
lot
bad.
of the game. Yeah.
they were bad, and then the entire power of the city of Pittsburgh went out a few hours before because it was raining so hard. Like so, the only power that was on was in the stadium,
Mhm.
Oh.
and they were asking fans like, "Please stay in your seats," or "Please stay." And fans are like, "Well, no, I'm gonna get up and be on the concourse. Thanks very much." But
Yeah.
like it
The
was
game
raining
was
that bad.
delayed in an hour and a bit for a lightning storm. For the lightning storm,
That
knocked
sounds
out all the
terrible.
power.
You get
Yeah.
you get real good thunderstorms in Pittsburgh. You get really good. It rains a lot, humid,
Ooh.
very humid. Anyway, long
Sounds
story
like a
short.
place.
Hey, Easter Seals is
North
up too. And
America.
by the way, guess what? Guess you guys better watch out now. I'm going to be nipping at your heels because I got my Easter Seals page ready to go, and I'll probably fundraise Steve as I always do. But
It's available now.
It is available.
It'll be in the description.
Yes,
Yeah?
that's
Okay.
right. It is up and it's
Excellent.
available. And the schedule this week's going to be a little bit different. We've got obviously a show today, and then we're going to have a show Tuesday because we got a show Wednesday at Greta. And so it really didn't make sense for us to do a show, and then Jesse probably wouldn't have been able to make it and
'cause
edit
we
it
gotta,
in time.
We got to edit the show and all that fun
Yeah.
stuff.
When are we recording VIP?
Well,
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're doing Monday, Tuesday. There will be a live show Wednesday,
Yeah.
VIP Friday morning, and then Friday midday we will record our typical Friday show going
And-
into Thanksgiving.
And audio listeners, the Western and Eastern Conference audio feeds of just all the videos compiled together are available this week too. So you're really getting like
Your
Six.
previews.
7 episodes.
Or, oh, yeah, 7.
Yeah.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. No.
Plus
it's-
VIP.
yeah. So it's a content-rich week, as we
Yeah.
like to call it, and it's going to be lots of fun. So I think we need to get to our very first, which is the BetMGM big story. It started with a tweet from Elliot Friedman at 8:32 on Saturday morning.
That was
Too
insane.
early.
Yeah.
Way too early. Optimism this morning. Boston and Jeremy Swayman are coming to a conclusion on the contract.
Optimism from whom?
I don't know who was optimistic, but it wasn't us. It was not us.
No.
We were not happy about it. Followed by...
Hey, speak for yourself.
Why, you have him in fantasy?
No, I literally said on the show, this is probably going to get solved in a couple days.
Yes,
we're probably
you
going to be
did.
sitting
You
here.
did say that.
And then on our preview, I said the same thing.
Yep. No, you were right. You're right.
Ian Tulloch, who has disappeared from hockey Twitter but is still active in hockey pools, drafted Eunice Corpusalo.
No! Why, Ian?
He has already dropped him.
I would hope so. Swayman in Boston. This is 30 minutes later at 8:53 a.m. Swayman in Boston, 8 times $8.25 million, $23 million in bonuses, and a no trade clause. So this is an interesting one. So there's year 3 to 6, it's a no move clause. Year 7 is a 10-team trade list, and year 8 is a 10-team no trade list. So it goes from being able to be traded to 10 teams, being able to say no to 10 teams, which puts your team up to 22
Okay.
teams that you can be traded. Yeah. So
This
yeah.
will be a fun time capsule because it's 2024 and we're like, who cares? Who gives a damn? And then those years are going to arrive and we're going to be like, okay. All right.
Well, that's how I felt
yeah.
about the Tavares deal when it was signed. I was
Who
like,
gives
oh
a
man,
damn?
yeah, who cares?
Oh, no.
Man, is it? If it isn't, the chicken's coming home to roost. Jesse, what do you got there?
I had an interesting tweet from Kevin DuPont of the Globe Sport.
Oh, he's very Globe. He's very Boston Globe.
Yes, Boston Globe. Jeremy Swayman, age 25, will eat up 9.375% of the $88 million cap. Tuukka Rask, 26, when he signed his 8-year deal in Boston for $7 million, ate up 10.9% of the $64.3 million cap. Boston, I think, is getting quite a deal, but you also realize they get this deal because this player has not been a starter. We want to think of Swayman as one of the top goalies, but it's still in the prove-it phase of his career. Even though he's been dominant these past playoffs, he still hasn't been a full-time starter.
My brain is having to adjust with these 8-year extensions because I'm not used to. I'm a little rusty at expecting the cap to go up, right? You look at that and you go, okay, but he hasn't earned it, and da-da-da. But at the beginning of his contract, it's a lower percentage than what Tuukka Rask was. Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's quite a sweet deal.
Yeah.
And to think that the Bruins wanted him at even less,
yeah,
and they were fighting all of this all could have just been signed in August.
And
really?
we're gonna talk a little bit more about it later in the show too, to dive deeper on it. But while we're in this segment, I just thought it was funny how the Boston Bruins, I think they did this on purpose, waited for us with our BetMGM odds and our predictions for our. You go listen to the Boston Bruins season preview that we did.
Yeah.
We mentioned the BetMGM odds.
I put them fourth.
We put them fourth. And it's like, well, I think it's going to take Swayman a couple more months to get done. And they drop it. We dropped it the day he signs the contract. I think we might have even dropped it around the same time of day.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm just mad. I'm mad about it. I really enjoyed Boston being under threat. It was fun.
The whole logic was, well, their forward group looks unreal and their defense looks unreal, but they don't have goalies, and you kind of need those.
You're right.
And Jesse was not deterred.
One of us wasn't on that bandwagon.
Oh.
I think this is an Adam and Steve issue because two people here didn't believe this would get solved, and the other person here in that same preview said they'd be first and believed they'd have goaltending.
I should have listened closer to the CJ show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because they predicted this.
They did. So that's your BetMGM big story. It's Jeremy Swayman, again, making us look like, well, us. This has always happened. So the Toronto Maple Leafs made 3 signings today. 2 expected, not one of them not. So the 2 expected ones are Max Pacioretty, who's going to get around $850,000, and he's going to get $600,000 in bonuses.
Is he?
And then
this is great. I found out about this as I was walking in the door. I don't know the cap hit.
And then Steven Lorentz, here I could pull them up here. These literally just happened.
Oh, so next year we get to worry about cap overages.
Yes, we
awesome.
do.
That's a new storyline
We
in the
do.
Leafs history.
Ooh.
Awesome.
So hang on, let me pull it up here.
How fun.
It's super fun. So then Lorentz is going to make about league min. And then Cade Weber has signed an extension at $825,000 for 2 years.
2 years,
Oh,
which
wow.
kicks in, I believe, next year.
That's right, because he's on his first year. It was a 1-year deal with Toronto when he signed it when he was traded here.
So he's like Rafai, because Marshall Rafai, who may not be a Leaf actually at the time we release this episode, he might get claimed off waivers.
Yeah.
He has an extension that kicks in next year.
So here's what's going on. Pacioretty signs the 1-year deal with the Leafs. It's worth $873,770,
Okay.
with an additional $626,230 in games played bonuses. He attended training camp on a PTO. That's a tweet from Chris Johnson. Kyle Cushman, friend of the show, said Leafs are cap compliant by $1 with these moves after signing Pacioretty and Lorentz. $1. You got to send Easton Cowan down, which we expected. SOIR Minton. Minton is injured.
That's
season
season
opening.
Yeah.
IR.
Connor Dewar, who's got at least 6 weeks before he's going to really start skating and practicing and playing again. And then on LTIR, Yarn Croak, Hakanpää, and Dakota Mermis. And I don't think Dakota Mermis was going to make the team anyway, but it's something of note.
Mhm.
And Yarn Croak, who did play,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of people.
I thought he looked good too.
I thought he did too, but
Shenanigan.
he's been struggling apparently with a lower body,
So-
and that's been the thing.
If Vegas did this, are we upset?
Yeah, and we're right, but it's the Leafs, so we
Yeah.
know they're being noble. about
yeah,
it.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure,
What?
absolutely.
What? No, it's.
I
When have
think-
they ever done anything nefarious?
I think with Yarn
Fine.
Croak, he actually is injured, and it's just that he's not 100%. But if you're going to do LTIR, you got to be careful. I was talking to somebody about this because it's got to be 10 games.
I was about to say it's a minimum of so he'll be out till like November.
That's right.
Something
And you
like
know,
that.
if you're the Toronto Maple Leafs and you're looking at the roster currently, do you need Calle Yarncroke to be playing games in October
You'll
if
live.
he's fighting something?
You'll live.
You'll live.
Yeah.
That doesn't make him not valuable.
I think
he's extremely valuable. I think it's just one of those where it's like, it's October, you'll live.
Yeah, this fan base is falling out with Calle Yarncroke.
It's weird.
He's at least. I don't know. I just think you're prioritizing the wrong guy.
I agree. Well, and it looks,
There's several guys I put ahead of him.
but it goes to our conversation last week. We were talking about it's like, well, it's got to be one guy or the other guy. They have figured out a way to put every guy in there. The only guy that had to pass through waivers, really, if Marshall Rafai doesn't pass through, which I think he will,
God, I hope he does.
is Matt Murray.
Right.
That one is interesting.
And
Apparently, there's real worry there.
they have the $100,000 bonus like they did with Martin Jones.
Yeah.
I checked that.
And they've been trying to get the sympathy, don't claim him because he's rehabbing. And they say he wants
Noticed that.
he wants to continuous rehab in Toronto with them. And so they're trying to put that out
Hey,
there.
this guy who played like, I don't know, 2 or 3 games in the preseason, he's still hurt.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of that.
Fellas.
I have a hard time believing he gets claimed.
Yeah, me too.
Because it's a $100,000 bonus like yesterday, today.
This reeks
So
of
it has to. They have to pay it today.
Mhm.
this reeks of Spezza going on waivers and just going, I'll retire.
Yeah.
I don't even care. I'm not even showing up. Even if there's a fire, I'm not doing it. And then he played for like 2 more years.
And I just want to say that CJ stuck up from my point of view in the group chat about Matt Murray's play because when he has played, he's been good.
Oh, you're on the I like Matt Murray bandwagon?
I am happy. Listen, I am not. I know we got a lot of shit for it because Joseph Wall played 60 minutes on Saturday, but I'm hearing and seeing things that lead me to believe he's not 100% healthy.
Who's this?
Joseph Wall, and I think we're going to see Matt Murray, even though Wall played 60 minutes. 60 minutes. How many times a week do you need to play?
I was happy about that, and I got
I'm thrilled about it. Thrilled about it.
We got some pushback to a clip from last show. It's valid that your starting goalie played half an hour in 5 games to start the preseason.
Yeah.
And also reporters are like, ooh, I didn't like how he looked at practice today. He looked kind of, I don't know. I just feel like that's worthy of note.
Mhm.
I'm not saying
But
the
he
world's on fire.
But he played great. And
I thought he looked great.
And that's awesome. And so, but
hooray.
But here's the
Let's
thing.
all rejoice. That's so good.
If
That's a
one
good
of them
thing.
has a maintenance day or whatever, I really like Matt Murray coming up and giving it a shot.
So the discussion we had, I don't think we're talking out of school talking about the discussion we had. So Jacob Pelletier from the Calgary Flames is on waivers.
Mhm.
Once first round pick,
Shoulder
once
injury.
pretty highly touted. Yeah, he hasn't played a whole lot over the past couple of years. And someone in the chat said, well, Matt Murray in the 22-23 season was a league average goalie that when it came to his save percentage. And I'm like, okay, at the beginning of that season, Peltier was like a highly touted prospect. Like, do you see how this is the same? Like, okay, it's great. It's great. The 2 seasons ago, Matt Murray was league average. That was 2 years
The
and
difference,
a
though, is
surgery
that Matt
ago.
Murray has won 2 Stanley Cups.
In 2017
Listen,
or 16 and 17.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a long time ago, man.
He was. Look
I
up his
know
numbers.
he was good. I saw it.
Look at his numbers with the Leafs.
They were fine.
They were fine, which
Then
is what
he
you
had
need from a
hip
third
surgery.
stringer.
Yeah.
They were fine before the hip surgery.
But he was terrible in Ottawa.
Adam.
He was terrible in Ottawa.
Like,
Well, they
Yes.
yeah,
the
let's be
Ottawa
honest, they were-
tenure
that
was awful.
that was bad.
Yeah. Well,
It wasn't quite. What was last year's goalie in Ottawa? Korpisalo.
Anton Forsberg and
It wasn't quite Korpisalo bad, but it was pretty bad.
It was pretty bad.
And I think ultimately the hip's been bothering him since junior. That's what we know. That hip has always been a problem. Now he's
Goalies-
got it fixed. I don't hate him as the third stringer.
Goalies just exist
Yeah.
in pain.
No,
Yes, they do.
If he's the third stringer, yeah, what do you expect out of your third
Yeah.
string goalie?
No,
But
yeah.
if the expectation is Matt Murray starting for the Leafs in the playoffs because he had such a good third
No,
string year,
no,
like,
that's bad.
let's back
No,
up
no,
here.
I'm not expecting that.
Let me say this. Ultimately, the Leafs goaltending situation, I think, is like in terms of the whole organization, is probably the best it's been in a long time. Woll and Stolarz, 2 goalies I trust wholeheartedly. Who's going to be the starter? I don't give a damn. It's October, whatever the hell.
Mhm.
Your third stringer is either a potentially resurgent Matt Murray or Dennis Hildeby. Cool.
How tall is Dennis Hildeby?
6'7".
Every time?
Spat.
Yeah, I feel like this is like a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so who's the third string goalie on the Dallas Stars?
Okay.
Well, that's a really
Ottinger.
good question.
And then who'd they get as the backup this year? It was Wedgwood. I don't remember.
You know what the answer is?
Who?
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Because
Interesting
it's so
point, Jesse.
inconsequential to the success of the team. Going into the season, you're not like, you know what, make or break the season because of the
Right.
third string goalie. So Matt Murray's such an afterthought.
Yeah.
It actually kind of suck if he got claimed because I think there's some depth there in goaltending. You got 4 decent goaltenders, so that's the only reason you talk about Matt Murray. But in terms of like the Leafs in this season, he's such an afterthought.
You wanna vet down there.
Yeah.
You wanna ideally a vet who can play NHL games. Like Hildeby, I think is going to be a good NHL goalie. There's no
One day.
evidence of that. Though.
He's
Right?
20
Like-
and he's 23, and I think it's important that a lot of goalies
Yeah.
look at Jeremy Swayman. A lot of goalies
Mhm.
don't hit it till they're 24, 25, 26. And so if you have a vet who can balance you out a little bit when things get tough, I think the Marlies should be better this year. But they would
I
not.
bloody hope so.
They've
They
not
look
been
pretty
great.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. On
But he's
paper.
still, I'm looking at Hildeby's number. He had 41 games last year, 913 save.
All-star.
Nice.
AHL All-Star.
That's great.
Yeah.
At the bigger and I think more important story than the Leafs third stringer.
Nah.
Um,
This is it.
Jesse,
This is everything.
I respect that you brought it back to where it needed to be,
You
Jesse, because you're
know.
right. The Leafs dressed a lineup versus the Detroit Red Wings that very clearly looked like this is going to be the team, with the exception of Jake McCabe, who's also fighting something,
And Robertson.
and Robertson.
Mm-hmm.
And
Maybe.
he played a lot.
and we know that Berube sees Robertson actually as a bigger piece. He is effusive in his praise.
There's no justification for not putting him in the starting lineup.
Right.
Yeah, he's
And-
gonna be
First-
like
he'll be playing.
We
opening
already
night
have
lineup.
the storylines of this is the first time in his career that he's starting at the NHL. Like they've already
Yeah.
been written.
He's
starting.
playing.
He's starting on Wednesday.
2 interesting facts about the Toronto Maple Leafs versus Detroit Red Wings, October 5th, 2024. And again, it's a Saturday night preseason game. How do you know it's a preseason game? Because TSN has it on a Saturday night, right?
I didn't even think of that.
point.
Yeah, like they
Yeah.
had a Saturday night TSN game, and people were like, "Is this the way it's going to be?" No, it's not.
No.
Now, they dressed one person under the height of 6 feet, and that would be Max Domi. Everybody else was 6 feet tall, listed as, or higher. Now, we know the NHL fudges things like that, but all the same, that is not a Toronto Maple Leafs roster that a couple of years ago you would have registered. And I was reading an article this weekend on not the defenseman we're about to talk about, but another one who's caught in an organizational transition, Topi Niemela, who is 5'9"
Mm.
and
good.
very good puck mover. But this organization very clearly, I'm going to run you through. Simon Benoit, 6'4". Oliver Ekman-Larsson, 6'2". Philip Myers, 6'5". Morgan Riley, 6'1". Chris Tanev, they have him at 6'2.5". Why the half? And Connor Timmins also at 6'2.5". And Jake McCabe's also over 6
When
feet
did they
tall.
start putting the halves in there?
I have never seen that before, Jesse, but that's the official one that they posted on the Leafs website. How about that?
I'm 5'10.5", but I just say 5'10" because
you
I don't want to sound like I'm. No. I'm like I'm practically 6 foot.
Right, you're stretching for that.
I don't want to be
Yeah,
one of those.
yeah.
I don't want to be one of those.
And so I am
round up or down. Like,
Come
just
on, like,
just be one or two, the other. Like, don't be
Yeah.
difficult about this. But
funny.
but anyway, Topi Niemela may not. We don't know what his future is here because it's difficult to see a lineup that looks like this and then Topi Niemela at 5'9".
So okay, on the back end, I suppose it's a little bit different. But like Brad Treliving, despite liking, I'm far more concerned about him liking older players than I am him liking big players. But like,
I'm not concerned about it. I think it's actually a good shift.
yeah.
Because it's nice. It would be nice not to get our asses kicked.
But like, people are talking
Physically.
about it like that's all he does, and like, you know, unfortunately he passed recently, but like Johnny Gaudreau came into stardom with the Calgary Flames under Brad Treliving.
Max Domi is 5'10".
Yeah, like
I get it.
Marcus Stroman once said, "Height doesn't measure hearts."
Right, and then was a pitcher.
and
it really doesn't
and then
matter that
blocked everyone
much.
and got upset at everyone.
That's right.
But I was there for the comeback game, and it was pretty cool. Like, yeah, I'm glad they're bigger. I don't think anyone should paint it as a bad thing. I also don't. I think it's way too much of a generalization to mean Topi Niemela's cooked.
Well, it wasn't.
He's not here
that wasn't,
anymore.
and that wasn't the article. And Topi Niemela's got a very positive attitude about it too. He's quoted in it like
He's
it's
good.
Josh, I think it was Josh Cloakey who did it for The Athletic. But it's a good article. You should check it out. But it is something for somebody like that. Where do I sit in this organization now? Right? And I think that's really, really interesting. The guy that really should be concerned this morning is now considered, according to Jonas Siegel, 8th on the Leafs depth chart in terms of defensemen, and that is Timothy Liljegren. And if Jake McCabe is not playing Wednesday night, well, we're at Greta against the Montreal Canadiens. It's not going to be Connor Timmins that moves up to play next to Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Connor Timmins, who is above Timothy Liljegren. It's going to be Philip Myers, who will play next to Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Philippe Myers, excuse me.
This is you like a new coach who comes in and shakes things up. That makes things exciting. And then he does it, and we sort of go, oh, I'm not sure about that.
I don't think I could have predicted Connor Timmins I was so on the Connor Timmins is
I've
not
been
long for
talking
this
about
team.
him like a dead man all summer.
Yeah.
And now it sounds like he's going to be on the Leafs for a month.
It might have been
At least a month.
Might have been the guy that showed up at the St. Catharines bar with his Coyotes jersey.
That's right.
Right?
His actual Connor Timmins Coyotes
Brought him good luck.
jersey.
But Connor Timmins, good for him. I mean,
Kachina, too.
he had a good preseason last year and then got injured and then just never fully got into the lineup. And I don't think Keefe ever trusted him.
No.
And I think when you look at what Connor Timmins has done, Philippe Myers is also very interesting just because he's a free agent signing and has played NHL games, but nobody really paid much attention to him. The fact that those guys with their style of play are in, I would have put Liljegren in next to a Simon Benoit. But they got caved together last year.
Mm-hmm.
And Connor Timmins, for $2 million less, is he $2 million less the player?
No, he's not. Like,
there are people that are making that argument online, by the way.
that's fine. Like, I disagree. I disagree respectfully. Like, Justin Bourne kind of buried him.
Liljegren?
Yeah, on I think it was the 5th game of the preseason, the second last one. Do you want him out there with the lead? No. Do you want him out there to defend the lead? No. What do you have him out there for?
He doesn't really kill penalties.
Like in these, like he doesn't do the simple. Yeah, he does. He kills penalties, but like we
their
talked
penalty
about this.
kill was in the bottom third of the league.
Yes, exactly. Like, oh, we need David Kampf on the penalty kill. Oh, the penalty kill's shit. Oh, well, maybe
we don't.
Yeah, well, and then it was good this preseason with Lane Lambert. Told you, friggin' told you.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it comes down to he doesn't do the simple things well. And that was another thing they highlighted on the show. And like, you flatly don't need this player. Could he go somewhere else and be great?
Absolutely.
I have no doubt. Like someone tweeted, I can't remember who it was. They're like, he's going to get waived.
It's going to be Gus Forsling.
And the next day he's going to wake up as Rasmus Andersson. Like
Yeah.
he's going to like take any underrated European right-handed defenseman in the league and he's going to wake up as that. But like it's sometimes a player does really great things and a team just doesn't gel with them and you're like, why don't they see it? I don't understand why they don't see it.
Jared McCann. And he didn't even
my
practice.
God. That's a very good example,
I'm
actually.
so upset. Still upset about it.
This is an example of a guy who, if he breaks out somewhere else, he didn't show it here.
Yeah.
Right.
He didn't show it in a nearly high enough percentage of his games. And like, if it turns out, oh, you got to play him in the top 4 because he can't play a bottom pair role, your team needs a bottom pair. What are you talking about? He doesn't do enough things well consistently to not be replaced by like a journeyman defender making league min. That's sad.
And by the way, Philip Myers, and I'm speaking specifically about him, even Connor Timmins in this, but Philip Myers' play style is very different. Philippe, excuse me. He's from Moncton. I can't tell if it's French or if it's English because he's got a French first name and an English last name, and it's the only bilingual province in the entire nation.
Yeah. When I see the
I don't know.
the double PE at the end.
Okay, Philippe.
Philippe.
Okay, Philippe. It sounds better. Philippe Myers is a completely different play style than Timothy Lillard.
Simple.
Mm-hmm.
And
He's simple.
interesting though, guys, that the guy that could not simplify his game, could not do the simple plays, you saw flashes of brilliance, couldn't do the simple plays, all of a sudden this year is Nick Robertson.
Yeah.
And it's the coach saying to Nick about Nick Robertson in the press openly, he's doing the simple things right.
Mm-hmm.
And that was what kept him out of the lineup with Keefe, was like he'd do an extra couple like woo at his own blue line and give the puck away. As long as you don't do that shit, the other stuff is there. And that's where I think those two guys coming into camp completely, I would say, the same trajectory in the sense that you got to establish yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You got to establish yourself. It's a new coach, it's a new life, whatever. Robertson has come in and gone, what do you need from me? Cool, I'll do it.
Yep.
And
My
he's done it well.
only thing with Liljegren is that for a team that's $1 within the salary cap,
Yep.
they better not have $3 million sitting in the press box all season long.
Well,
If you're gonna not play him, move him.
He's gonna play. I'm confident of that.
and I
Okay.
think he has to play for them to move him. I was talking to Kevin Papetti and Michael Amato on Twitter yesterday, and Michael's like, they should trade him. And I think they're right. Like, you want to get the $3 million off the books. I think you're right.
Yeah.
But the problem is this time of year, there are no good trades. You get
Not really.
Nobody makes a good
Right.
trade, and I don't think it's because teams don't have needs. I think it's because general managers are scared.
I really think there might be a big trade today, and we're gonna miss
Yeah,
it.
Well, but as of right now, what history do we have
If
to
there
go
are
on?
no
I
good
know.
trades, then you got to use him.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to use Lil. He's still useful. Like, I think if the cap hit was less, we'd be talking about him completely differently.
Mhm.
But because he's at
He
that
wanted the
number
deal.
and there are people who are less than him and ahead of him in the depth chart, he's out of the rotation. But I think they have to use him to move him here.
So here's kind of how I look at it. New coach, obviously. The preseason was 6 games long, and we talk about how we need to shorten it. Here's what's funny. It's sort of continuing, except now the games count. Pontus Holmberg doesn't have an everyday spot in the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Nick Robertson doesn't necessarily have an everyday spot in the lineup. He's been playing well. He starts playing crap. He'll sit. All of a sudden, Duer's going to come back eventually, and Yarncroke's going to come back eventually. And Liljegren's on the outside looking in. He could play himself into a position where he's on the inside looking out. And Timmins is in the mix all of a sudden, and Myers is in the mix all of a sudden, and Max Pacioretty has over $600,000 to play for, and Lorentz, and Reeves was scratched a bunch last year.
And it's
There's
looking like Bobby McMahon is on the outside looking in for opening night.
Really?
Yeah,
He didn't have a good
about.
preseason.
That's Luke Fox is at that. He said it's worth noting two Maple Leafs re-signings, Timothy Liljegren and Bobby McMahon, both healthy, are projected outside of the opening night lineup.
And I think he's a very, very, very good player.
I think he is too, and he'll play himself back in.
He'll play himself back in.
Nice, Patches, Robertson, and who am I missing? Would be the fourth one. On the left side.
On the left side?
Yeah.
Nyes, Domi, Pacioretty, Lorentz.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Lorentz.
Yeah.
Okay.
If Lorentz is not center.
Nice. So where's Robertson playing?
Robertson, they switched him to the right side, I think.
Right side.
Oh, the right side.
And I think
we talked about that wrong all summer.
Yeah.
We're like, oh yeah, no, he's gonna compete for a left. No.
No, yeah, this is throwing me off.
Because nobody would have expected Bobby McMahon not to be in the lineup based on the way he played.
There is that. Yeah. Also recovering from an injury.
Yeah.
So that probably screwed up his offseason. And Robertson, this preseason, we saw score from every spot on the ice.
Yeah.
So,
and do things that we've never seen him do before, like strip pucks off guys.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it's preseason, and you don't want to get too hyped on your guys. Like every year we follow, there's a preseason darling.
I've decided no. I'm getting too
I
hyped.
want to get on the Nick Robertson hype train. I was on it last year. I think the guy's a 20 plus goal scorer this year, minimum.
Do you have Willie at center there? Is it
no.
No.
They have moved off that experiment, quote unquote, for now.
I'm gonna lose my shit.
I know.
I know.
They didn't give it enough of a try.
I'm reserving judgment.
I'm waiting till Wednesday and the actual game to be played. But if it's not Matthews, Nylander, Tavares, I think there's a case to just be really upset at
the Athletic
this whole experience.
I talked about it this weekend, and they said it's probably over for now, but they're going to go back to it.
I think
that's what they said.
I'm waiting till Wednesday.
Okay, all right.
A lot has to happen. Number one, if they're great, then I don't know. Do we really need to complain about it?
Yes.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah.
You're probably right.
I'm gonna read every quote that we talked about mid-September.
You're right.
Oh my god, I'm not prepared.
If Holmberg stinks in that role,
yeah,
then they got to go back to the 1, 2, 3.
So, but then my next question is
back to it. The thing they've never done.
Yeah. You're right. You're so right.
Please stop telling me that Max Domi is going to be center. He's a top 6 forward on this team. He's going to be a winger, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But my thing is,
you can have him.
You can. It's not ideal because you're.
Yeah.
I mean, actually,
can you read the lineup you have?
So and I'll tell you where the issue is. So
let's let everyone keep guessing.
Nyes, Matthews, Marner.
Domi,
Tavares, Nylander.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, because I think Nylander's he's such a good finisher and is underrated for it. Pacioretty, Holmberg, Robertson, Lorentz, Kampf, Reeves. And I'm going left wing to right wing there. Left wing, center, right wing.
If I'm not mistaken, Pacioretty, Holmberg, Robertson had some success together.
Let me say something here. The issue, I think, is okay, so you move Nylander to center. Who's his right wing?
I know. Well, I'd put Domi.
On the right side.
Because he was on the right side of Matthews.
Then who's his left wing?
Tavares.
No, I think you have Tavares at third line center.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd put Patches there. This is going to be...
So I think that they don't have the winger depth.
I think
McMahon's not playing up to his standard, I don't know. I think part of the issue is that Nylander is such a good winger. Are you going to put him with... I mean, it's a lot to put on Nick Robertson to move into that role. If Bobby McMahon isn't up to snuff or he's still injured or whatever, Yarncroke's not in the lineup. Like, there's a lot of, okay, if you move Nylander over, then what do you do on the wings with him? How are you supporting him? Like, look at Pettersson with Vancouver in the playoffs last year. They rebuilt this summer that second line so he would have somebody to pass to. They were playing guys with him that had like 10 games of NHL experience in the second round. You just can't do that.
Which is something they did to Matthews a bunch of times for some reason.
And this is what I'm saying is Nylander is trying this position out. If he's trying this position out, you have to have Tavares off that line because you don't want the coach to be like, fuck it, just put John in.
Well, maybe, I don't know.
And so Tavares moving down, I love a Tavares, Pacioretty, Robertson line. I hope it happens.
I will
not
say,
happening right now.
The main takeaway from today should be this team is hard to make. And I'm not going to lie, like a lot of people are focusing on the bonus overage for next year with Pacioretty.
Yeah, whatever.
That's going to be a hard $600,000 for him to get. Like there's the health aspect of it all, which is difficult. But like, are we expecting Bobby McMahon to be a healthy scratch for nearly half the games this
Do we
season?
know the requirements?
I think Frank had it. I'm going to ask.
What he has to hit to to get those bonuses?
It was
That'll be
34,
interesting.
5, 6 games.
I haven't seen it.
I'm looking at it. 10 games played, 313. 35
Oh.
games played, 313.
10 games?
10
Oh, so
games.
he's
That's
getting
the Bergeron.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's
So-
10, and what were the other ones?
10 and 35, excuse me. And they're both worth $313,150.
You'll hit 35 games.
He'll
would
hit
hope so.
10 for sure. 35 is actually going to be somewhat of a challenge.
No.
Yeah.
We had 49 last year with Washington. Didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's on a deeper team.
He is on a deeper team.
He's on a way deeper team.
So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I think the Nylander thing is more of an issue of if you're gonna introduce this guy at center and you're gonna have him play second line minutes. My question is, do you have him play second line minutes? Are we making a mistake in having Nylander on the second line? You put him down in the third
He
line.
makes 11.5.
Put him with
Play.
Pacioretty and Robertson, and just outmatch the shit on third lines on other teams.
I don't know
No?
about that. Also, it's not happening. They're playing Willie
are.
on the wing.
Yeah,
See,
and I'm wondering too at this lineup, how long before Max Domi's playing with Matthews again? Because there was lightning there, and I know that they like to put Mitch and Austin together, but boy, that looked good last year.
It's Nye's spot. Like I think Nye's earned a run at that. So and Mitch is obviously his buddy.
But I wondered
where
if
does Mitch
Nyes
go?
would
They're
take
partners.
Bertuzzi's spot. I'm thinking Domi back over to the right wing.
yeah.
And
Domi
then-
over to the right wing.
Couldn't you
But
put-
where does Mitch go?
Yeah, where does Mitch go?
Well, if Nylander's playing center, Mitch and
no, but
Mitch and Willie.
Nylander's not playing center.
But what if he did? See,
You're
Then-
a mad scientist.
then
I'm
all of a
not
sudden-
seeing it.
You're
Well,
making
then
up
all
your
of a
own
sudden-
lines right
then
now.
all of a sudden that hole at right wing is plugged. You've got Nylander playing with somebody he can legitimately make magic with. Domi, Matthews, Nyes is how different is that? Domi, Matthews, Bertuzzi, which was the line going into the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
And so if you look
I
at, you
see
push
it.
Mitch down, you put Nylander with him, so they've got legitimate guys to really, really play with. I don't know who you have in the left wing spot. Tavares between Pacioretty and Robertson. I don't know. It doesn't seem that bad. to me.
That sounds
Maybe they try
awesome.
it. Maybe
But
they try
that's
it.
not reality because they continually try William Nylander at center and say, we're doing this thing and we're committed to it. And then they don't do it.
Okay, this is
That is true.
a condition.
Yeah.
This is actually an affliction. That it's great. Now we can talk about awareness that affects too many hockey fans, especially at this time of year. People are very prone to it. It's called DTV.
Down to Vuck?
Daily face-off tunnel vision.
Oh.
Where we look at the roster on that website and we go, this is it! This is it forever!
Mhm.
Why are they doing this and only this? And like Craig Berube could 5 minutes into the first period of the first game be like, nah.
Well,
And
and
just completely
but that's why
change
I'm
it.
like, let's have an open mind because I don't know enough about Craig and this team to like his combo with this.
Oh,
team.
you know him well enough to call him Craig. First name
Chief.
basis.
Excuse me. Chief.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Let's wait till Wednesday.
Wait till
Let's see
Wednesday.
Let's see how the
Wait
first
till Wednesday.
game plays because Sheldon Keefe's the king of that. Where it's, hey, the puck has been dropped. All the lines are in a blender. You know,
Yeah.
who you don't know who's going to be thrown out with who at whatever moment of the guys are on the ice or the time of the game. So let's wait till they play a game and see what it actually ends up being.
Process. We're driven by the process. What's that? We're down by 1? Well,
Yeah,
crip.
right. No
Let's-
process.
Yeah. Hey everyone, this episode is brought to you by Manscaped. Haha. The global leader in
Aha,
men's,
what?
men's lifestyle and grooming. Haha. This is how you'll
Stop it.
feel.
Stop.
This is how you'll feel. Haha, what is how you will feel when you've cleaned up.
Oh,
You see? You see what I'm saying? I'm
clean ball fall.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point now where I'm feeling like this might be a little early. Might be a good Christmas gift.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I but here's the thing about it is okay, Manscaped, genuinely great product. We all use it, right?
Yeah.
Jesse even uses it for his beard.
Yeah, their face shaver set is
Yeah.
the best thing in the world.
You
What's
don't-
the little one that's shaped like a rectangle?
I don't know.
Oh, I use
but
it, and it's really good.
awesome.
Anyway, so my question is, if I were to give you guys, let's say you didn't have one, and I were to give it to you for Christmas,
Oh.
Mm.
I was
would
like,
that
no,
be,
I have a
would
lot.
that be weird?
No.
It depends on like what person it's. If it's from you, no.
Okay.
But if it's like somebody in your office, then
That's
I'd be
weird,
like,
yeah.
that's a little intimate.
Yeah.
But if it's like your partner, then like, yeah, that makes sense.
Because I actually was asking my sister-in-law the other day. I'm like,
Yeah.
Does my brother-in-law need this? And
That's,
and I'm like, is that too much? I don't know. I don't know.
I feel like brother-in-law's okay.
Brother-in-law's
Depends on
okay?
the relationship,
Yeah,
right? But
we're pretty.
are
tight.
you giving him the ball one or the face one?
It was the ball one. It was the ball. It's the lawnmower. So but it has the skin-safe technology,
Right.
nicks and cuts and all that stuff. Oh,
If
so-
I were him, I'd be like, what are people been telling you? Have people been telling you the forest is growing?
Well, listen. Okay, listen.
He just immediately looks at his wife. She knows.
Yeah.
She knows.
Like, who told Adam?
if it's uncomfortable, you can just go and buy it yourself.
Yeah.
Promo code Dangle. Experience a shave up and downstairs that you really deserve. 20% off and free shipping. Code Dangle at manscaped.com. That's 20% off. Free shipping. Promo code Dangle, manscaped.com. Now, there are some other things that I want to get to, but I will just kind of leave this here because we're going to have other things tomorrow that we can hit.
We're going to talk about all the trades.
We're going to talk about all the trades and
Steve's talking about.
Well, dude, we're doing this show before waivers is even
Dude, the waiver
happening.
wire today is nuts.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we'll see
Tomorrow's
who gets,
waiver show.
yeah, whoever gets
Yeah.
claimed and whatever. So
I
there are
think
going to
there's
be
gonna be
things
a
on this show that you're like, well, they missed that. Well, of course, because we had to go early. Tomorrow we're actually recording a little bit later than we normally do, so we'll have a bunch of news things and we'll have waivers, we'll have all that. So that's actually a really good thing. Now, I want to mention this. I mentioned Connor Duer's 6 weeks away from really skating, potentially playing in 2 months.
He's 6 weeks away from being 6 weeks away.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yanni Hakanpää, the asking around, the consensus seems to be at least 2 to 3 months. But he is skating. And these are NHL players. And so I don't know. But I did ask a few people, like, hey, any idea? They're like, no fucking clue.
I'm on board with all of this as long as they're a good regular season.
And I think they will be.
Yes.
I think if Wall is healthy,
Yeah.
there's an if there. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Internet. You don't
yeah.
have to like it, but there is an if. And if
Oh, no,
Stallers...
Adam, to be fair, this is new.
Yeah.
All the concerns about it, yeah.
He's never been hurt
What
before.
are we doing? Everyone, okay.
But I want to say that I think Stallers being Stallers, if he's exactly what he was in Florida last year,
Great goalie.
this is the best goalie they've had since Freddie Anderson.
Wait,
What about
Stallers?
If Stallers is what he was last year, and he plays 40 games, tell me a goalie that has played for the Leafs that has been better. If
So-
he replicates
Jack
exactly.
Campbell was great.
Jack Campbell
like
was
people forget how
fantastic.
good
He was great.
Jack
he was
Campbell
great. He
is-
did win 11
is
games in a
ahead
row
of that on the list.
Yeah, he was really, really
Yeah.
good.
for a season.
Okay, no, but
fair.
that's not what you asked.
Yeah,
I'm talking about long term here, gentlemen.
I know.
Jack Campbell was here for a couple seasons.
Yeah, he was. And
Yeah,
I love
but-
Jack.
He was really, really good the one season.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
And
the
then
next
the
season,
other
it
one
was
was
like,
like,
he's great in October, and he was terrible the rest of the year.
The Leafs had him outduel Carey Price and Andrei Vasilevsky.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? He
No,
was great in the playoffs.
It's not. It's not.
So I want to move on because there's a couple of things bubbling with different teams, and we got to talk about them. So first off, I want you to imagine the 2022 Toronto Maple Leafs, and I want you to imagine the names Engvall,
Oh, sorry.
Engvall and Justin Holl on waivers because they are.
Oh,
Even as of
man.
this recording, they still are. We're expecting them both to pass through, but let's start with Pierre Engvall, who to this day, even now, people are tweeting about, wait a second, this guy's actually good and you guys are all dumb idiots. I'll tell you this, when he was traded to the Islanders, even Dubas was like, okay, fine. Because it was
He got a
Dubas that
third-
traded him.
You got a third-round pick for him, which is all
It's
right.
good value, I think.
It's okay.
Now, with Pierre Engvall, there is this cardio merchant tag that's been floating around, and I think it was Jay Fresh today that was saying, "Well, actually, that's stupid. That's not a real thing." And I'm here to tell you, sorry, Jay Fresh, we disagree on this respectfully. It is, and the Leafs had two of them, Engvall and Kerfoot. And what we talk about when we talk about these guys, it's not to insult their games. They're fucking NHL players making
Of
millions of
course.
dollars. They're great hockey.
They both belong in the NHL.
The point we had with the Leafs and their particular fit here, and I think you're seeing it specifically with Engvall on the island, is that on the island, is that you can pass a puck in transition. Well, you should be able to do that. Okay, well, you make zone X, but well, you should be able
This
to do
is
that.
what I said
You're a
about
top-
Liljegren.
So
It's not good enough to be okay at several things.
right.
It's the NHL.
Yes, and so I thought you'd find it interesting.
Every AHL team has a dozen guys you can watch any night and be like, why isn't he in the show?
Oh,
Because he can't do it all.
his transitions through the neutral zone are great. If they're not, he shouldn't be playing. Like that is literally a top 9 forwards role, and I want to run you by what Lou Lamoriello said. Lou Lamoriello, who signed him to this contract 15 months ago.
Lou Lamoriello,
7 years, $3 million.
Lou Lamoriello would be the greatest GM of all time if he never signed a 7-year deal.
Just keep it to
sign
3.
8, sign 6, no more 7.
Keep it to 3 years.
Yeah,
3
just
years.
Do that.
He said, I think what happened simplistically is that he's a top 6, top 9 forward, and Maxim Tsipalov,
I think it's
Tsiplikov earned his way into that role, and basically we have to make the best decisions for our lineup that we can put together. It's as simple as that. It's not that he did anything wrong, but he basically lost the job. He is not a bottom 6 player, and this is my thing with Engvall.
Whoa.
He said
what?
He said he's not a bottom 6 guy, meaning that his skill set for what he does. The problem with Engvall,
either
for me,
he has to be in a top 6 role or he can't be in the line.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you going to put...
I understand what he's saying.
Like, are you going to put Easton Cowan on the 4th line of the Toronto Maple Leafs? Is he better than some of those guys? Probably.
You're wasting the roster spot if he's in your bottom.
Not what he's good at. And the problem with Engvall is that he wasn't good enough to be in the top 6, and he wasn't diverse enough to play one of those bottom line roles. He was good on the penalty kill at times, but you saw him out there 5-on-5. And it's, hockey is so much more than just driving the corners. But when you drive into the corners and you go in head first and you win those puck battles, those often create the scoring chances. And people are like, well, it's more than that. It's more than, sure, it's more than that. But when you don't do those things, what did the transition game matter? Right. So what they're good coming through the neutral zone. If you can't create something when you get into the offensive zone, then what the fuck are we talking about?
So
here's, especially a top 9 guy.
I strongly disagree with everyone's comparison of Engvall to Kerfoot.
Oh, I don't think... I think Kerfoot's a different kettle of fish there.
Well, now wait, though. I think Engvall is probably a far more skilled player.
Oh, that's why the Leafs love him. Or loved him.
Now wait, though. Kerfoot is also a far better. Do you see the difference? Like, Engvall...
Because he brings more to the table? Put him in different situations?
He doesn't make stupid decisions. Like, you could put him anywhere in the lineup, and he would, there was a lot of busy nothing there. There was. But it wasn't necessary. Like, busy nothing is better than the puck ending up in the back of your net, or a penalty, or something like that. And I know he took the Game 6 penalty, shut up. But, against the Lightning in 2022. I remember it. Engvall was an infuriating player because, again, 6'5" every time he steps on the ice. Usually, first, second, or third on the Leafs in terms of weight. Mm-hmm. In terms of straightaway speed, he might have been the fastest guy they had. Do we all remember his nickname? The nickname that the team gave him?
No, what they gave him.
The players on the Leafs called Engvall Biscuit, as in sea biscuit.
Yeah.
The racehorse. Because they would see this 6'5", 225-pound thing galloping down the ice faster than anybody else. They had him on a line with Mikheyev, and it was absurd how fast the two of them were at the like two guys who might win a straightaway race against McDavid. Mm-hmm. Straightaway is very different than overall skating, and with the puck, don't even get me started. So fast, so big for nothing. He had an NHL shot. But then you watch him play a little closer. Like, Pierre Engvall helped me appreciate hockey sense more. Because I would watch what everyone did, and then I would watch what he did. And he took the jankiest, weirdest paths to the puck.
Oh, he's creative.
He's inefficient is what he is.
No, he's creative.
He's inefficient.
He's not in that box of yours.
The king of offensive zone penalties.
Oh, yes. That was really frustrating, too.
Yes!
It's like, you're not good enough to be taking penalties like that. And by the way, you're not pushing the other team hard enough. My issue with Engvall was he was gigantic. He was 0% body fat, brilliant, in great shape.
Yeah. And
used none of it to physically impose his will on another team.
No, but he'd grit his teeth at you.
You watch the big guys.
He was the king of that.
Well, yeah.
Cross-checking and grit his teeth. Oh, drop the gloves. Drop the gloves or piss off.
Who did Matt Nyes say, oh, yeah, go me, last playoff?
Pasternak.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, go. Like, anybody could have said that to Engvall, and he's not going to drop the gloves. And this is the issue.
No.
I'm not saying...
Word gets out, man.
I think
I think first game you play him, you're like, oh shit, that guy's kind of big.
You
and
watch
then after you do it enough times, you're like, he's not doing nothing.
You watch a healthy Tage Thompson. Tage Thompson makes room for himself. I'm talking about gigantic guys with tons of skill. Engvall's one of those guys. He does have tantalizing skill. There's a reason they put hundreds of thousands of dollars and many, many years into his development, and then just let him go for a third-round pick. There is something there, but it comes down to, does the player want to use their God-given skill to do what's required? And with Pierre Engvall, I have never seen him want to do what's required. He'll do the baseline of what is required to make a lineup. But when you talk about big situations, when you talk about not even big situations, you're talking about a random fucking Tuesday night against a Western Conference team, I never saw with him any sort of edge, any sort of real passion on the ice where I'm like, man, this guy is a game breaker, and
Even
he's
a
using
rub-out.
his skills to the best. You never, ever see it. And I'm sorry to everybody that looks at this in an analytical thing, because there has to be a middle ground here. There are players and I am pro analytics all the way, have been for 10 years. And I always have to say that. But there are players who are not going to fit, who are going to look great on a graph, who are going to look great on a spreadsheet, who are going to look great in this stuff. And then you're going to see them on the ice, and you're going to go, yeah, it doesn't work. And I'll tell you, the publicly available shit, and it's important to remind people of this, the publicly available shit that we have access to is not even a tenth of a 1% of what the NHL teams have. Their analytics are in depth, and they would tell you that a guy like this is not doing what the Islanders, who can't fucking score,
Multiple coaches.
cannot score. The Islanders cannot score. They cannot score. And they're like, you know what, Pierre, thanks, but no thanks.
And he was good when he started there, and I'm like, well, who's shocked? Really, who's shocked?
Because he needed to be. He just got traded.
He still needs to be,
Well,
and it's gone.
he said anyway.
It sounds like the way you guys are just going off on Pierre Engvall, it sounds like there's a lot of built-up rage from the 2022.
Oh, and before.
So,
Because I was sold a bill of goods that was not
era
true.
of the league.
No,
that's
so
what it
I
sounds
think
that's how
like.
I feel.
The rage comes from, like, you take Joe Schmo, like some random player, and he comes in, and he's, I don't know, 5'11", 6 foot, $185, average speed, average shot, average, he doesn't make a ton of great decisions, doesn't make a ton of bad ones. He's meh in every sense of the word.
Mhm.
You don't speak about him doing poorly with this kind of passion. Engvall, I look at it and I'm like, you're fumbling the jeans bag. Like,
yes, yeah,
dude,
yeah.
look at me. Look at me. Look at how much I could never be Pierre Engvall. And you're wasting Pierre Engvall, Pierre. Look at you. Like, he is the kind of player.
You used to say somebody needs to, like, piss in his cornflakes or something.
No, that was
Make him mad.
me with Freddie Gauthier.
Oh.
Freddie Gauthier, who could do some of the similar things, wasn't as gifted of a skater, didn't have Engvall's gifts. But I would there's certain limitations within the cap. So I would just hire someone to every time he leaves the house, just run up to him with a big bottle of mustard and fuck up his shirt. And get a job at the local Chipotle and fuck up his order every time,
Yeah.
and just
Cilantro
make
when
him
he can ask for
angry.
any. Yeah.
Just make him fucking. If you put Ryan Lomberg or Michael Pezzetta's tenacity inside Pierre Engvall, he'd have 50 fucking goals.
Yes.
but
Yes.
he, like, I hate your uncle's saying of he could go into a corner with a carton of eggs and
They
none
called
of
him
them,
eggs because he'd come out with the eggs, none of them would be cracked.
dude.
And here's the thing, Jesse,
I
point.
I get passionate about him because I'm like, you have it all.
Right.
We said the Leafs needed to get bigger. And I think Dubas was like, yeah, they do need to get bigger. And so they got bigger. They got, guys like Holl and Engvall and these guys. But Steve used to say it, and he was right. Big for nothing.
Hull got the brakes beat off him by Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is going to get ID'd into his 50s. But look at his career.
And this is my point, is that it's not that these guys can't. It's frustrating that they won't, especially with Pierre. Justin Holl, I think, is what he is. And I actually want to bring up a tweet that Kevin Papetti put out yesterday, and I think you guys will find this hilarious.
Sure.
Former Leaf contracts. So when they leave Toronto, this is the contract they get.
No, but it's hard to play here, though. It's hard and unfair and
The
bad.
Toronto bump on these contracts is insane.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we've done this.
I know. I just want to go through it real quick.
Yeah.
Mikheyev, 4 times 475.
Unbelievable.
Kampf,
Here, wait. Mikheyev, 4.75, already traded.
already traded. Kampf, about to be traded.
Trade rumors.
4 times 2.4 million. Engvall, 7 times 3.
Waivers.
Foligno, 2 times 3.8. Campbell, 5
fine.
times 5. Hall, 3 times 3.4.
Waivers.
Labushkin, 3 times 3.25. Edmondson, 4 times 3.85. That's a bad deal.
Man.
And then Brody in Chicago, 2 times $3.75 million.
Now, the only difference there is, Brody is taking a pay cut from his last deal, so I
Yeah.
don't know if I agree with that one. But
Well, his play took a pay cut too. He was not good last year. And you know what?
Jesus.
He did. Oh, I'm sorry. Was TJ
No.
Brody great last year?
No, it's just that was lightning.
Well, it was bad. And so
Oh.
my whole thing with Engvall is this. This guy's an NHL player. He
I
probably
agree.
won't get traded because of the length of the contract. I think that scares team. I look at
if
it,
he made half that salary, he'd be in the NHL.
or if he made half that term. It's the term. But if I'm looking at this and I'm like, I'm the San Jose Sharks, projected by The Athletic to be the worst team in the league this year, although I disagree with them. The Anaheim Ducks. Those guys, a Justin Hall, a Pierre Engvall, they're players.
Waivers this time of year is full of guys who should be in the NHL. That's what waivers is for.
Right.
Unfortunately,
does waivers work
most
out.
of them never get claimed.
Yeah, because waivers never works out the way that it's supposed to be.
I think the salary cap has a lot to do with that. Look at the Leafs and what they did today. They're within $1 of the cap.
Brand Pridham, baby.
Brandon Pridham, but it used to be okay. We're 2 days out from the season beginning for the Leafs, and now we're like, okay, this is the roster. That is very different from years past, where barring an injury, we're like, this is the team, and we know that because they literally can't afford to do anything else.
Right.
Like
They had no competition for roster spots for years.
my hope is Craig Berube was able to say, okay, I know what your financial plans are, but this guy can't hang. Or I want this guy. This guy's unreal. He's dynamite. Like, I hope it had more to do with the quality of the player and less to do with the equation.
Yes. Yeah. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Now, listen, we're big proponents of therapy here.
Mm-hmm.
We think it's really, really important for you to do a check-in. And if you're feeling like it might be time to do a check-in, it's kind of like, what do they say about being thirsty? If you're thirsty, you're already dehydrated. If you're feeling like it's time for a check-in, you're already past the point where you need to check in.
Mm-hmm.
And
But that doesn't mean it's too late.
bingo.
Yep. You can always drink water.
Now, I want to talk about just a quick
For your
experience
brain.
that Steve and I had.
Water for your brain.
I've been in therapy, not surprisingly, since I was 18. And it's been on and off, right? Like, and that's the great thing about BetterHelp. It's very flexible, very, times all over the place. You can do whatever you want that fits your life and your schedule. Steve, the first time you considered going to therapy, it was a while ago.
28? I was 28.
Yeah. And I remember you going, I'm not sure about that.
Uh-huh.
And it was a lot to get you across the line to try it. And when you finally did, and you did try it, what were the benefits?
Well, I think the reason it's difficult to try is, I feel like there's a self-stigma. I didn't necessarily feel like anyone was going to judge me, but I was judging myself.
Right.
And I was like, this is a weakness. This is a failure needing to go. And it was instant relief. It's like, I got a messed up body too. And anytime I go get something fixed, I'm like, oh,
Wow.
I should have done this before.
I didn't have to live this way.
Yeah, and that was my experience with therapy as well.
So we want you to give BetterHelp a try. Take off the mask with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/SDP today to get 10% off the first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/SDP. So Justin Hall being on waivers in Detroit, not terribly surprising considering they put him on a rotation last year. But what's interesting is that a guy who made the exact same amount of money as him and was very good was Jake Wallman, and it was given away by the San Jose Sharks. To the San Jose Sharks. Detroit, man, I don't know about
They've
that.
had some questionable signings in recent memory.
There was a trade market for Jake Wallman. There wasn't a trade market for Justin Hall. That's what. Yeah.
Also this morning, we know that the Oilers yesterday actually put Josh Brown, who they signed to a 3-year contract. Josh Brown signed a 3-year contract for $1 million. He's on waivers. Did not make It's $1 million. It's not the end of the world.
Right.
But why a 3-year deal?
Yeah, that's pretty confusing. Like, I thought he was Vinny Desharnais replacement. I mean, no one's gonna claim him.
Yeah.
And also you bury him, and also, like, I saw one Oilers fan go, "Well, it's not my money." And I was like, that's a great way of looking at it.
I don't know if that's gonna affect the Edmonton Oilers in any way.
Well,
No.
and like, so now this makes him your 7 or 8 that you can call up.
Yeah.
All right.
That's not too bad.
And hey, Josh, are you sad? Yeah. Hey, did you know you don't have to pay escrow the whole time you're in the AHL? Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that's
What is
actually pretty
Bakersfield
cool.
like this time of year?
It sounds like you don't have to pay escrow. That's
sounds
all
like-
I know about
Sounds
it.
like 15% more than I would have made. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Josh, would you like a 15% raise?
and
Like,
not American taxes versus Canadian ones.
hey, dude, hey, I'm not great at math, but I'm pretty sure 15% of $1 million is $150,000. Josh, would you like $150,000? Would you like potentially $450,000?
Yeah, all right.
Like, I mean, I'm sure he'd rather be in the NHL, and I think he will be.
Yeah.
Meh. Yeah, weird signing for sure, but it doesn't affect the team.
Now, there's a couple of things I want to hit. It looks like, and then I want to talk about the games this weekend. Boone Jenner looks like he's out long term.
Oh my God!
And this after the Blue Jackets signed Kevin LeBlanc. He was PTO'd with the Devils, and then the Blue Jackets obviously have holes up front, and it looks like they're going to have another one. So
Pierre
He had a great
Engvall
piece.
could work in Columbus.
Pierre Engvall would be great in Columbus.
There's somebody.
He's
There's
perfect for
someplace.
Columbus.
If it was like a 1 or 2 year thing, I'd be like, yeah, perfect. 6 years left. That's
Yeah, that's a
crazy.
long time.
You can always waive him again if he doesn't make the team.
Man.
That Columbus, I think, and obviously there are some reasons for this, but tragedy aside, it would have been the case anyway. They're a long way from waiving a guy like Pierre Engvall.
I know, but like the reason I reacted the way I did is like I'm dying. I think the hockey world is dying for something to go right for that
Yes,
team.
no question. No question.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. So it's unfortunate for Boone Jenner. Now I want to talk about the games this weekend very quickly before we do the press conference, guys, because time crunch today, and then tomorrow a little bit later, a little bit longer. I want to talk about the Buffalo Sabres and how I regret everything good I said about the Buffalo Sabres. Is what we saw from the Sabres in the 2 games this weekend a team adjusting under a new coach, or are they just stinky cuck?
I don't know what you based your optimism on for the Buffalo Sabres. Like, Kevin Adams sat on his hands all offseason. They needed a whole bunch of changes, wholesale changes to fix the upfront, their forward group. And hey, the defense is looking good. They're young, but like maybe you get some older defensemen to help the young guys. And like there was a bunch of stuff they needed to do to figure it out, and Kevin Adams chose to do nothing. So I don't know why anybody had expectations on the Sabres.
These guys should be absolute trash pandas today and just dig through the waiver garbage and go num.
Yeah.
When they get home from Europe, it should be to like 3 or 4 guys like, hey, we're Sabres now.
It feels like, if you had like a really bad semester in a class.
Yeah.
And it's like, damn, I need like a 95% on the final test just to pass the course. Feels like Buffalo just put themselves way behind the curve and now just needs a spectacular turnaround to get this thing going. 2 games don't make a season.
No.
Obviously.
And they're playing the Devils, who we all think is going to be, or we think
They're going to be
very good.
one of the
wagon.
best teams in the league.
A wagon.
So it's also in Europe.
But
Who knows?
They didn't just.
But they suck.
They
didn't
suck.
They didn't look good at all in those 2 games.
Listen, the way we're told to build a team, and I mean it's way too general, is you got to have good goaltending, you got to have good defense, and yes, you need goals. It is a goal-scoring contest, but there are guys out there who can score goals. The Sabres, oh boy, they sure do lack guys who do that. But again, I look at what they're building on the back end, and I don't know if it's good yet.
Yeah.
But I know it's gonna be.
Yeah.
And in their net, I'm pretty sure it's good now, and it's gonna get even better.
UPL was spectacular the back half of last year.
Like, they shouldn't.
One of the best
stink.
goaltenders in the league. You know,
They should be like.
I think they're better than Detroit. I still think they're better than Detroit.
I don't.
Buffalo should be decent, except they could have been. We could have
They could have been better.
them and we say, oh yeah, no, there's a competitive team right there if they just made a couple moves.
Yep.
Maybe they're this year's Oilers. and they go on a run to the final.
Maybe. Who knows?
I just listen, there's a lot to criticize with that roster, but I still think long term they're doing the right things. It's just, you have a fan base that is not interested anymore, and that's not a criticism. They've been too bad for too long.
Yeah. Longest active playoff drought in North American pro sports. Fix it.
And your answer was Lindy Ruff.
The coaching thing where you just hire the guy for the PR, probably, I don't know.
No, I think he was there were better coaches available. I think he was the coach willing to go.
Yeah, you don't think other people would be, if they were willing to shell out the money, the Pagulas?
I don't know if they're that. I don't know. They could be.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm very down on them right now.
Yeah, they ought to be just crows on a carcass today. They should be claiming multiple players.
Between my two fantasy teams, though, I have Bratt, Meyer, Hughes, and Tage Thompson.
Just disgusting.
So I had a good weekend. on fantasy.
You know who I got?
And I have no idea how to play NHL fantasy, so I'm going to figure this out.
You know who I got?
Who?
I'm excited for the bit. Contract year, baby.
Mitch Marner?
Mitch Marner.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
They waived James Reimer as well. Note that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
also a
not
thing.
surprising. He's
Yeah.
the third goalie.
Yeah. So yeah, no, and I just want to say about the Devils, holy mother of God.
Oh, good.
They look pretty
So what happens
freaking
when
good.
all you need is goaltending and
Oh my
healthy
God.
bodies, and they got it.
Wow.
Brendan Dillon, the hit on Peterka.
And Peterka could be out. We're not sure how long, but it's not.
Not great.
I don't know
great.
if I want to speak this dramatically this early in the season, but for a team that already can't score, that's a death.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If
Well, that's
he's
a guy
out
you
long
think-
term, they're screwed.
That guy could be 60, 70 points this year, right?
He's an extremely, extremely good player.
Yeah.
But it's funny. We talked about one of the things that I rarely get to say as a Leafs fan, or in recent years haven't gotten to say as a Leaf fan, is I haven't been able to look at another team and go, wow, you're soft. You're noticeably soft.
Who was
The Devil.
soft?
All last year.
Baby shit.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Not anymore. That's over. That's over. When they got Brendan Dillon, I'm like, ooh, that fits like a glove. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. And there's a bunch of other guys.
Well,
in
and
that
Meyer's
roster.
pretty tough.
Meyer, Stefan Nason is a rude dude.
Former Leaf, really upsetting.
Former Leaf.
That's
Hey, Sheldon, you gonna play me this time? That must have been a fun,
Yeah.
fun introduction.
Does that one count? I put that in the Sean Dursey camp where it's like
He played a game.
Okay.
It's more.
I think there were a couple of guys that could have been really useful to the Leafs. Scott Harrington back in the day from the Penguins trade.
Yeah.
Stefan Nason, if
Got
they'd stuck
injured.
with him. Stefan Nason, remember, I believe he lost it on time to guys like Kapanen and Anderson, or what was his name? Not Anderson.
Johnson.
Janssen. Andreas Janssen.
If I'm not mistaken, Nason, he was a part of the three-way deal. The Nick Foligno deal from Columbus was a three-way deal with the Sharks, and he came from the Sharks.
Right.
People forget that part of the trade, and he played one game, and I'm pretty sure it was bad, and he just didn't get into it.
Yeah.
And then he had his AHL walk through the desert, was frigging unreal on his way to the Calder Cup, which means something. And then he was on the top power play in Carolina.
Oh, I love
It
it.
was ridiculous.
Okay, let's do the press conference now.
Let's do Swayman.
Swayman.
We got to talk
Yeah,
about
we do
Jeremy
have to-
Swayman a little.
So-
we talked about briefly in BetMGM big story, but let's talk about it here.
So Swayman obviously
Ruined our fun.
ruined our fun. And if you're listening on the SDP VIP, you didn't hear the BetMGM segment, but the reality of it is that Swayman, I think, got the Bruins to move pretty significantly. And I wonder,
$250,000. Is
yeah,
that nothing?
well, but they weren't at $8 million.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't even at 7.8. Frank Saravalli said the max that they were at to that Cam Neely point was 7.8 million. But you remember they started the offseason at 6.5.
That's the Ryan Whitney rumor, right?
Right, and there were a few other people that sort of confirmed that. So, and I get, you start several million apart and you work your way to the center or whatever. But Swayman, from all accounts, never really did. He was like, it's 8.5, guys. And so for him to only come down $250,000, and for Boston to finally go, you know what, screw it.
Mm-hmm.
I think both sides made a really good deal, and it makes me angry.
And they got a really good deal before he starts missing games that count. Like, I know Korpisalo is going to start the season. I don't think waiting a month or two was going to be good for his career.
I agree.
Like, it's not like Willie Nylander where he had a horrible year.
Mhm.
After he held out. Like, with a goalie, I feel like it all happens very fast.
Yep.
And all of a sudden you're bad. And because you're bad, they're not playing you. And then how do you get it? How do you get it back? Right? It's difficult. It's a lot trickier. And they get it done before the revolt. Because it was starting. It was starting. And didn't I call it?
Oh, the fans were turning on him.
Things have been too good for too long in Boston, so people forget. But that fan base and media, Toronto's the only place where this happens. No, the media will turn on you. Tyler Seguin, Dougie Hamilton, Benoit Pouliot to a much, much, much smaller degree.
Yep.
Phil Kessel, holy shit. I know that's also very different because he got traded, whatever.
But he was holding out, meaning he wasn't holding out.
You saw that sign behind the bench, the take 64 go.
He took 66.
He took 66.
And he didn't go.
How about you go? Right? They got it done at a reasonable number before things got out of hand negatively for both sides. It's perfect. It's annoyingly Boston. And I am Vince Vaughn in Anchorman with everything they do. I straight hate you, but God damn it, I respect you.
Yeah. Jesse, what are your thoughts on
No,
it?
I think it's one, an accurate deal. Like, he's exactly where he should be. He's
an accurate deal.
Yeah.
I was like, did we get it wrong?
No, it's an accurate deal in that he's right where he should be in terms of goaltenders across the league. I believe, he's tied for fourth. It's Bobrovsky, Vasilevsky, Hellebuck, and then Sorokin has the same $8.25 million deal, and the carry price is X amount. It doesn't.
Shesterkin's going to breeze by him in no time.
Shesterkin's a whole conversation that we can have. He's going to deserve so much more than that. It's going to be a little troubling for the Rangers in their cap situation.
I'm not worried about Shesterkin because as soon as Trouba's gone, there's his race.
Yeah, but they got so many other bodies they need to sign.
That I would be worried about.
It's a little tricky with their cap. But Swayman fits right in where he should be. And he's going to live up, hopefully, to this contract. And for the Bruins going forward, it's going to be a spectacular deal because the cap's going to go up and he's going to outplay that value. So it's right in line where it should be. And I wonder if they look back on the last month and a half and if they say, like, we did a good thing by sending a message to the world into our locker room by making this public and realizing everybody's got to stand in line and Cam Neely and Don Sweeney are happy with what they did. Or if they say this 8.25 could have just been solved in July because this is the money they allocated throughout the summer for Swayman.
Yes.
It all
and
depends.
the fact that they wouldn't just come up to this earlier,
Yeah.
I wonder if they're happy with how it played out.
It all
They
won.
can't be.
But they
won.
won.
Cannot be happy.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't think I think Swayman's probably okay with it, but I don't think Boston management. And remember, this Boston management group, despite their on ice personnel successes, has made some. And I don't want to bring it up, but you guys all know they made some bumbling idiot moves a couple of years ago when they were the first place team in the league. And I think, and they've
Bruce
done
Cassidy?
not
Mitchell
Fight
Miller?
room in his room?
They do some
Living room?
stuff on this in this management group that is like, hey guys, you're a really good team. You don't need to do it this way.
Miller.
Yeah.
And I just feel like they can't be. To me, Jeremy Swayman wins. And they can't be. They got to be careful not to get in their own way. They make really smart decisions, but every year or so, you get this. What's going on in Boston with their management anyway?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So that's why I'm like, it's very curious that you kind of built your cap around, hey, we're going to sign Swayman around $8 million, and then you go through this whole thing, and then you eventually land at 8.25.
When's the cap going to be $100 million?
Probably
4 years?
2-3 years. It's going to be 92.5 next year. Probably another 4 or 5 the next year, and then another 4 or 5, and then you're in.
And so he'll be making about 8% of the cap
Great.
for your
Great
starting
deal.
goal. Yep.
Fabulous deal. Maybe they could just be a little more efficient in getting there. Is
Yeah.
what Jesse's saying.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like, I thought Alan on Agent Provocateur on Friday was brilliant.
Man, he was great.
in talking about how he talks through a player through this. And he says, if you're serious about this, we have to commit. Because if we get to the end of this thing and you're just like, oh, I'll just sign what they gave me, then you've lost it forever. Then that's how they're going to look at you, as this guy.
And you've lost it for everyone.
And you've lost it for everyone. You've lost it for the locker room. You lose a lot of respect there. But if you're serious, we'll go through this and we'll make it hard on people. So at the end of the day, when push came to shove and there were actual games that Jeremy Swayman was going to lose, the negotiations got serious and they solved everything. And it feels like it was always going to be there at this point. You know, it's what CJ talked about. When we get to this point where you're going to miss real games and things actually get serious, because if he signs in season, the contract becomes prorated.
Yes.
And the Boston Bruins don't have the salary cap to sign him to an $11 million cap hit in December.
That's why
and pay him
Nylander
that.
was the $10 million man,
Yeah.
even though he
Nylander
never was.
Them, because he never was.
Well, I think Brett screwed Brett there.
They both fucked each other in the worst, put in the worst terms. So things got serious and they got it done. You know, but get it serious earlier, guys.
Yeah, and this is where what I mean. Like, I look.
It's over though.
Yeah, well,
It's over
no,
now,
but no,
and we move
guys.
forward.
It's over. But they still let a fucking podcast get in there.
We got so much
Shit
content out of
fucked
this.
them up. Like
you can't take that back from the universe.
No.
Everything that happened from September onward.
And so if
here's
I
the
am
thing.
Cam
Yes, you
Neely-
can. Yes, you can. And here's how you do it. Win.
yes,
Okay, I get
You
it.
win. No
But
one remembers
But the
anything.
processes, guys,
And if they
that
do
led
remember,
them
they don't
there
care.
are still there.
Yeah.
And if I'm Cam Neely and I'm responsible, and he has been, I'm going, guys. Let's take a second.
Let's not do this again.
How do we not do this?
Yeah.
You know, how do we not? Okay, so Bissonnette's on our shit, and Whitney's on our shit, or Elliot Friedman's on our shit, or Chris Johnson's on our shit, or whoever else you want to.
Jesse Blake.
Jesse Blake
Yeah.
is messing us up. What do we do next time? Let's sit down with the PR staff and ask them. And what's the PR person going to say? PR person's going to say, don't mention it. He's still not under contract. We're working towards it.
Yeah.
Next question. That's all they had to do.
I don't care when you sign Jeremy Swayman, just don't sign Mitchell Miller again.
Yeah, well, but this is my point, right? Is like just maybe listen to your PR staff because they do a pretty good job. And every time Bruins management doesn't, what happens? It explodes. And this is a team that has erased a lot of that because they've won. But I guarantee you, if the Bruins had not been as outrageously successful as they have been for the last half decade, well, we might be looking at that.
The world where the Bruins burn through their goodwill is currently a fantasy.
Oh, it could
One
never
that
happen.
I just can't.
Could never happen.
I can't picture.
We gotta also remember how the Amazon doc that's out now reminded me of how close the Bruins were to complete destruction in
And
terms
being
of their fan
serial
base
chokers.
and being chokers. So that goodwill thing can disappear real quick. They were going to become the first team ever to blow 3-1 leads in back-to-back playoff years, and they almost did it if it weren't for the Leafs, who are the king of choking. So I feel like there was.
I can't believe that wasn't quintuple overtime.
There was
Neither team should have scored. That game should still be going.
There was a moment there where they were teetering on the brink of destruction as an organization in terms of their reputation recently, because they had the best record ever in the regular season by any team in the history of hockey. They choked with a 3-1 lead. They're up against the Toronto Maple Leafs, the team that can't win shit ever, and they're about to choke away a 3-1 lead. This could have been a completely different offseason in terms of Bruins land. And then now,
But they happen to be playing the Leafs, so it's all good.
And then now they save everything and they're back here. So there are moments where this management group hasn't been all there, and I wonder if they look back on this and they regret it.
You know what I think
they
it is?
probably do.
It's a bunch of hard-headed dudes. I
That's
look at this
every
fucking
sports
guy.
thing comes down to. I don't think these gentlemen are being reasonable.
Yes, it's just like, you know
That's
what?
Every
I've
conversation.
made my decision. It's not rational. It's not realistic, and I'm fucking sticking to it. And at that point, it comes down to an ego play. And I don't doubt that these are nice people in real life. I don't doubt that they're great at their job. Look at the results. Because unlike in Toronto, it actually is a results-based business. People are like, oh, trust the process, trust the process.
No.
I've trusted the process for a decade now. Not seeing a lot of results from the process.
In most
I would
other
prefer-
markets, you need at least some success.
I would prefer Boston's process.
Yeah.
Even with the dysfunction, most of it.
Yeah.
The one thing I mentioned there I would not want. But I'm just saying, maybe, guys, if you're at an 11, sleep on it, come back to work at a 7. Do you know what I'm saying? Sometimes emotions get hot, and you're like, you know what? Instead of being the guy on the ice that I used to be, why don't I be leadership guy now, say nothing, and then go to sleep, and then wake up going, you know what? I feel refreshed, and I'm glad I didn't say anything yesterday. I'm glad I didn't tweet that, which you and I have had to learn. Jesse's never had that problem. I'm glad I didn't say that to my, to my friends or my partner or whatever. I'm glad I slept on that. I'm glad I took a day to cool off.
I'm glad I just thought of the hardest trophy in sports to win. I invented it just now.
What is it?
Because they say the Super Bowl is the hardest trophy in sports to win.
Stanley Cup.
But then you also hear the Stanley Cup is the hardest. No. There should be a trophy. Yeah. Best team in Boston.
Oh, the Boston Bowl.
The Boston Bowl. It is the hardest damn thing.
Oh, the Patriots held that title for a while.
Yeah, but now the Celtics are reigning NBA champs, and the Patriots can go frig off.
Yeah, so, same with the Red Sox.
Red Sox
frig off.
Fuck off. Yeah, they suck.
They're suck.
Yeah, you stink.
Does everybody under Fenway Sports suck right now? Like, because the Penguins suck.
Isn't Liverpool?
Liverpool's okay. Oh, they're good.
There you go.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know.
I knew a soccer thing.
I'm not familiar with their portfolio.
There's been a lot of managerial changes at Fenway Sports and Entertainment. Something to keep an eye on. I just think
Is this Dubas's fault?
No, it's not.
Sorry, Adam's gonna find a way to.
Dude,
blame
they just
Kyle
fired
Dubas.
13 people from the Penguins front office 3 months ago.
Adam, how is Kyle Dubas responsible for the demise of the Boston Red Sox?
On this one, he's not.
Okay.
He's not.
Would the Bruins Swayman impasse not have happened if Kyle Dubas just stopped?
I think Kyle Dubas
working in hockey.
What? He would have been like, I don't want this headache. Give him 10.
Oh yeah,
Maybe.
What if we went into 10 million?
Yeah.
You know?
No, based on how negotiations went with all the Leafs guys.
Yeah.
We could and we might.
We can, and now we'll have to.
Have you guys taken a look at Puckpedia for the Leafs and their forward group recently? Because you look at it, it goes from 11 million to 3.
Yep.
And that is one hell of a way to
used
build a forward
used to be
group.
3.5 with Kerfoot.
Ugh.
I'll take Max Domi at 3. Thank
Not
you very
pretty.
much.
It's not a pretty sight.
Jesse, you ever seen Mrs. Doubtfire?
Yeah, a long time ago.
I don't have the strength.
Yeah. Yeah. It's okay. You know,
I don't have the strength.
it is. It is what it is. And wait till Marner's extension signed.
Oh, I don't have the strength.
So you know what? We are running low on time. Do we have time for a couple? questions at the press
Give me a
conference?
second. We'll ask the question.
The presser.
You guys gotta talk while I pull up.
Oh,
the
I
question.
thought we were pausing.
Dangle
No.
press conference.
So I just want to.
What do you think, friend? Let's have a human conversation.
There's a very big. While I have a minute, there's a very big interview coming up on Daily Meat. Formula One fans. One of the bigger names.
Lightning McQueen.
Lightning McQueen. Ka-chow.
Are you getting Lightning McQueen?
No, I wish.
Ah.
No, if somebody could do a Lightning McQueen impression, I would definitely fake an interview.
I think Tim could do it.
You think you
Get
could
him
do
to
Owen
go,
Wilson?
Ka-chow. I need to hear him do it. I want it.
I like that.
I was in. So shout out at Insider J Money.
Yeah.
Who messaged and said that I was in the Flyers training camp YouTube series video.
Yes, and I didn't want to play it in this. I have looked at it.
Okay.
And I have.
So we're gonna do that.
We're doing that tomorrow. That's part.
Okay.
It's literally in my prep right here. But I was like, we're in this studio. We're doing it tomorrow.
Okay. And Steve was in the Amazon doc for
That's
everybody
right.
who watched it this
With a
weekend.
hammer.
And I'll pull up that screenshot because you look like a feral animal.
Well, we saw this debut
Yes.
at the
And we
the
can talk about it.
the screening in Toronto. Yeah, now we
Yep.
can talk about it. The whole room burst into friggin' laughter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I personally think it was the hardest laugh of the whole episode. And I buried my face in my arms. I was embarrassed. That's the only clip they used of me, and I look like a feral animal.
It's okay.
Steve,
Yes.
this question's from Michael at Mike_Matt. With your second book launching in the next week, Michael wants to know, when is Steve ready to write a third book? And he jokes, will it be about his time at the zoo? But is there plans for a third book?
There's no plans. This book would have to do extremely well and be at number one for a while, which I'm hoping for, or number one at all. Book hasn't come out yet. For me to want to do it, there are people who can crank out 4 books in a year. or 2 books in a year, or even 1 book in a year. And
Tomorrow we're gonna have on Mike Comito, who spits out a book every single year.
Because
good for him.
Because they are authors, right? They're authors.
Yeah, like that's what they do.
You're not. That's not your main source of like, what you do.
Well, like, and I think I'm good at it. It just takes me a
That sounded
while.
like a diss.
Yeah.
No, but I think like your main career, everybody would say is podcasting and YouTube videos. I don't think that's controversial.
Here's the process.
I'm not saying you're a bad writer. I'm just
Steve,
saying
you're not a writer.
Yeah.
Let me lay out
No,
the
he
process.
is, but it's not his first thing.
Let me lay out the process.
Okay.
So you have a 75,000 word count to get to.
Mm.
Okay. Jesse, you were in school longer than Adam.
Sure.
Typically, how long were essays for you? Like university essays.
What do you mean?
High school was like, I think 1,000, 1,500 words. But like for any essays you had to write, or were you one of those students smart enough to not take hard electives?
I don't remember.
Damn.
Just answer the question. Let's get to what
Yeah,
were they?
I don't really
1,000
know what
words?
you're asking me.
1,000
So-
words?
Like in terms of a word count?
Word count,
I don't
I think a short essay was 1,500,
Sure.
and that still took a while. A long essay, like the ones I had to do in my history ones, were 3,000.
Okay.
And those would take me hours and hours and days of research, and hours and hours and hours to write. They were hard. And I would crank that out in a day,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd be like, oh my, like I maxed out my brain. I set time aside, and I'm now 3,000 out of 75.
Mhm.
And I'd just be like, I tried so hard, and I'm like 5% there. And then a lot of days I'd be like, all right, I have, the kids are with the in-laws, and I got the house to myself. Come on, words. And nothing comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing comes out. And there was one chapter I got about 750 words into, like I was just coming up with all these different ideas, and I got about 750 words in, and I'm like, this is starting to feel very familiar. And I realized I'd written a different version of the same chapter twice.
Oh, wow.
And so set that 750 words on fire, set the whole damn thing. And that took, I don't know, an hour, 2 hours. So set the last 2 hours on fire. It's just, the process is very difficult. But I think afterward, like I remember reading the audiobook and being like laughing at stuff.
Oh.
Because I forgot I wrote it, and I'm like, that's pretty good.
Funny guy.
I read it.
Steve.
I read it enough times that I'm like, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
I've had enough people be like, this is good, that this book is good. It just takes me longer than someone who is a more accomplished writer to make.
There you go.
So all that to say, if the Leafs win the cup, I'm on it like shit on Velcro. But until then, I'm in no rush to write book 3.
All right. With that, we have to go. So, gentlemen, we will be back tomorrow when we will find out all the waiver wire transactions. And I actually have some things that I want to run by Steve and Jesse, like prediction type things that we're going to get to.
Ooh.
Don't worry, not season predictions. And no, we're not going to redo our Bruins season prediction. It is what it is. That was what was available to us at the time, and Swayman wasn't fucking signed.
No, they're still going to be
All
fourth
right?
somehow in the league. Even that might not be high
That
enough.
might not be high enough. Anyway, we love you, and we will see you. And remember, pick up your tickets to Greta because 2 nights away.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.